Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Lewis. I'm a student here at Florida Atlantic University, and today we're going to be taking a look at how if the NFL were to implement the Zebra Sports System, it would lead to better game planning decisions by the coaches. It would lead to a better product that the NFL would be able to put on TV, as well as it would lead to new revenue streams in terms of selling the data that is created with the system. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at the context. It should come as no surprise that the sports industry is huge. Forbes listed it as a $40 billion a year industry in 2010, 14.6 of which came from sports media. And so what's happening is these teams are out here fighting for these sports dollars. And the way to get the best attention from the media, the best primetime slots, is to win. Winning will lead to increased jersey sales, increased concessions, ticket sales with people at the games, and it will just lead to an overall better fan experience. Fighting with other leagues, you gotta have certain teams that stand above the others. And so to get this leg up, the competitive advantage is to implement RFID, which stands for Radio Frequency Identification Trackers, and GPS systems to track the players. And what this will do is it'll allow coaches to track where players are on the field, distance from other players, how fast they run, things of that nature, and it can be used to just put a better product out for everyone. And so next what we're going to take a look at is the technology. The Zebra Sports System consists of 4 components. It is the Zebra Trackers, known as Dart Tags, the Stadium Scanners, known as Dart Warehouse Readers, and then the Data Hubs, and then we're going to take a look at the software that you need to analyze the data. So first, if you look here on the PowerPoint, you'll see pictures of the Dart Tags. And so what they are their little radio frequency identifiers, RFIDs, and they go in there under the shoulder pads. And the players wear them during the game, and they are tracked throughout the game. So the way it works is it falls into the category of automatic information and data capture. So what this means is there's little human interaction involved with actually collecting the data. The RFID chips will send a short frequency wavelength that is measured, that's picked up by the scanners, and then the scanners are able to turn this data into something more useful, and then it is analyzed. The short wavelengths make it so the battery lasts longer, and it gives an extremely accurate reading of the player's location on the field. The RFID chips, the Dart Tags, are accurate within to 1 foot of the player's actual location on the field. And so that brings us into the next part of the technology, which are the stadium scanners. So as you can see, the stadium scanners are perched in the stadium. They are just put in different locations, and so they are what's responsible for collecting the data. The chips send out reads of over 1,000 data points a second, and these things are capable of reading them. It's able to capture the data from up 200 meters away, which is perfect for a stadium setting because, as you can see, they're perched up high, they're far away, and they still have to be able to get and take accurate readings. From there are the data hubs. Now this can either be in a cloud or off-site. It's usually going to be some kind of storage off-site, something that can make it accessible instantly, because once this data is created, it's readily available. And so it's something that will be accessible via the iPads that are already implemented, and so it won't cost anything to add to the infrastructure. Next is the analytical software. The data has no true meaning if you can't make it useful. So basically what that's saying is a bunch of numbers will be no good if they don't relate to anything, if they don't make anything better. So the analytical software that should be used to properly read and analyze the data is first off the Oracle Analytics Cloud. This is one of the more secure cloud systems because everything is ran through one operation, so they're not putting it through a third party. So all the players' information will be safe. And there's less worry about someone hacking it. It's more secure because it is all in the same area, run by the same Oracle company. The next analytical software is going to be Tableau. And so what this is, it's for data visualization, and as opposed to other data visualization tools, it doesn't come with a preset chart and graph design. This is important for this kind of data because it doesn't usually fall into one or two categories. So it's measuring speed, distance, how far away you are from other things, and those things can be difficult to chart if you're set to one or two standards. And also, it's good for the media companies because it allows them to put different graphics on this television. So next we're going to be taking a look at the competitive environment. The two main competitors of Zebra Sports are Link Sports System and Catapult. So first is the Link Sports System. They were initially the first company to come in and want to do some kind of tracking of players and timing and trying to get it more accurate with the RFID chips for the NFL. So they started with the Dolphins in 2015, and they would measure 40 times and put it on players just to get speed and things of that nature. Well, at this time, they were also working with the Zebra system, and they saw the idea, and according to Lynx, they took it, and they saw the opportunity to make the money and everything that was going on with it, and they decided to take it for themselves. So this is currently in litigation as Lynx filed federal suit against them, and so what happened is Zebra ended up getting the contract, and Lynx is still fighting in federal court and has now solely become a timing company. And the next is the Catapult Sports System. And this one is very similar to the Zebra Sports System in the idea that it's used to track players' speeds, how far they run on a daily basis. The primary difference is that the Catapult system is a wearable, so it's able to measure more, to give you more measurables and data points, such as heart rate, overall exertion, that can be attributed to one single player. One of the main differences as far as finances goes is that the Catapult system is only available for rent, whereas the Zebra system you can purchase. It's one buy, so you can start getting your return much faster than you would on a yearly rental. So the main customers that would be buying this stuff, buying the Zebra system is obviously going to be the NFL, MLB, NHL, all those professional sports organizations. But the customers that will be buying from us to increase our revenue would actually be companies such as media companies. Have you ever watched a football game and they show how fast a player ran down the field, and it will outline the route they ran and how far they ran on the field? Well, all that information actually comes from the RFID trackers. And like I said before, the information is available as soon as it's put out. So that allows them to take that data, customize it, and put a good product on the screen for average viewers to be able to enjoy it. Next are the fantasy sports players. There are about 32 million fantasy sports players in the world. And one of the ways to win a league, or if it's daily fantasy, to win more money, is to have more information on when a player does well, who they're going against when they do well. So these people would be customers because they'd be interested in buying the data we produce to gain a competitive advantage and be able to go out there and win some money or beat their friends if it's just a competitive league. So the overall goal is to create more data that can be used. And so the trading partners, as I mentioned, are the professional sports organizations. They'll have the power if it's a sole partnership, only one person can use it, only one league, or if others will be able to use it. And then the main trading partner that will have the most control over if this system is successful and implemented is the Players Association. Now it's their job the Players Association's job to look out for the best interest of the players. And if they see that this data is hurting them more than it's helping them, they may give it a little pushback, decide to reject it. Ooh, excuse me. And so, based on the numbers for the Catapult system, I decided it cost about $850 per unit to get it fully installed. And so there's 53 players on a team and 32 teams, so that comes out to about $1.5 million to get a full system implemented. As I mentioned earlier, you only need to run it once or purchase it one time, and then you can start getting your money back. And so for the overall purchase, it would be about a 10-year, $90 million deal. And I got that number based off the NBA signed a similar deal with another sports data contract that ran for about $41 million, but it was only over 6 years. So the time would make it a little bit cheaper. And so the numbers I ran here on the chart are what it would be like if we were to sell the data on a yearly basis for $3,000 annually to have access to our full data. It would take less than 1% of the fantasy playing population to be able to cover the $10 million a year. The $9 million a year to begin making our revenue back. So that's roughly about 300,000 of the 32 million I mentioned earlier. And then so for organizational implementation, it is highly likely. The NFL, according to Pro Football Talk, does about $8 billion in revenue. And as I mentioned before, the total cost to get it implemented was only about $1.5 million. So that's really nothing in the current scheme of things. And based off all the other ways to make revenue from selling the data, and based on win shares, I see it as a no-brainer. The critical success factors are, first, obviously, the players accepting the technology. Because if they don't want to wear it, they decide they're not going to wear it, it just doesn't work. Another critical success factor is having data analysts and data scientists that are able to turn the raw data into something meaningful. And then finally, a critical success factor, and if something like this would continue, are companies and the public's interest in the data. If there's no interest in the data, there's no reason to keep producing it. And finally, we look at the risk. Obviously, litigation is a big one. I'm currently already in litigation, and the way patents are set up, it can be hard to defend yourself sometimes and set yourself up for patent, what they call patent trolls, to come at you. Another thing is the rejection of data, as I mentioned. If they find this data has no real value, then there's no reason to continue doing it. Another major risk is the rejection by the Players Association, because having this kind of information on all the players would be able to quantify them actually slowing down, whereas now it's just kind of based on an eye test. Having this kind of information would quantify it and let teams know that players are actually slowing down, so it could be rejected by the Players Association. And then lastly is complacency by management. If they're not on top of the Zebra system, making them continually innovate to stay up to date with the Catapult and able to track new types of data, then all in all, it won't be a success. Thank you. Are there any questions?